Well, joining us from Switzerland, a face you haven't seen for a while because he's been overseas and busy, is Christian. And Christian, welcome back to the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
So, what we want to know is we're hearing a lot of things, reading things, and seeing things in the media as to what's happening in Europe right now vis-a-vis the Iranian situation and what U.S. President Donald Trump has brought upon the world economy. We're hearing that, from a fuel perspective, as far as gasoline and jet fuel and petroleum in general, that it's really, really starting to tighten up. The supply is starting to tighten up in Europe, and prices are soaring. Can you give us a feel for what's really happening?
Yeah, actually, you go to the gas station and you see extraordinary jumps in prices, depending on the country you are. But we are actually now in an energy crisis due to the Middle East war. So higher prices, slower growth. That's at the moment what is concern of all European governments at the moment. We come even to the point that the IMF, so the International Monetary Fund, came back to the European Union and begged or requested to not loosen fiscal rules despite this energy crisis, right? Like they want to avoid a large stimulus, like risk of more inflation is then there. And we have divided opinion about that during the European Union. Look at Italy, they're pro more spending in order to balance out the energy crisis, like the higher energy costs. Whereas countries like Switzerland, you cannot compare it to the bigger countries in Europe, but they are like the industry is not really based on. We don't have a big industry here. Like our economy is more based on banking and watchmaking. Yeah, but depending on the country, we have different outcomes. Yeah, France wants to be really flexible, supports more government intervention when it comes to more spending. Spain is in the middle of somewhere. They said they don't know which direction they're going now, and Germany is mixed. They want to spend more. They have already high spending on military, on defense spending, and UK somehow said that they are like they want to give targeted help, like specific in specific regions, but everyone has a different approach to the actual crisis at the moment. Like we're really suffering. We don't have the supply like the US have domestically or Canada. We're really exposed to the supply from the Near East and as well as Russia now. Like Trump said, like sanctions from Russian oil and gas would be suspended in order to calm down the price hikes. But it's like we're somehow now here in limbo.
And what are the gas prices like, for example, in your area?
So we are not calculating in gallon, but at the moment here in Switzerland for diesel, we pay around $4.40 for diesel per liter. Mm-hmm. $4 for Canadian dollars. As for gasoline, it's $4 per liter. I know you guys are at $1.50, $1.60 still. I'm not sure, like around that target, right?
Right. Well, it's up and down every day, it seems, but the highest is around $1.87 out in BC, and here in Quebec lately it's been in the $1.70 per liter range.
So we were double, almost triple here, right. Especially for countries like Germany. Same here, but they have different income than we have here in Switzerland, so it has a high impact again on the taxpayer here. And you see there is a lot of mixed opinions now, and you see also like the mood towards the US is shifting at the moment. Like as I mentioned before, like when we talked before the show, like 50% of the Europeans actually see the US now as an enemy, not as a threat, like actually as an enemy. Like 20% said like it's now not only economically, it's a threat. We need to be careful. It's not an ally here anymore. There's everything like what's happening in Iran is now like we're bullying back this to the US and saying, well, you are responsible for this misery. Yeah, a big frustration. Big frustration on all sides here. And when it comes to like one of our politicians from the Green Party in Switzerland said it directly to Washington. It came not only in regards to the Iran conflict, but also in terms of the tariffs again. But this is all like we're mixing those topics at the moment because there's high frustration. He actually said to Donald Trump, those who hurl rocks at us in trade or else shouldn't expect gifts in return. And we were canceling half of our defense spending with the US now. Yeah. So like there's a lot of we're pushing back here now. Like we're getting annoyed. The all over sentiment is we cannot take this guy serious anymore. He's talking, then he's pulling back in the last minute. Does he really have the balls or not? And you see it, like because also governments get more and more cocky towards the US. That's the situation we're feeling now.
I just want to come back to the fuel side of it for a moment because it just crossed my mind. I saw an article yesterday that said a lot of Canadians now are rethinking their plans to travel to Europe this summer on summer vacation because they're concerned about the shortage of fuel for jet fuel for the planes. Are you hearing any talk about that at the moment? I thought I saw something where some of the airlines in Europe are starting to cut back on flights and schedules just because of the fuel shortage.
Well, yes, but also you need to know like that fuel prices. I don't know like the extent are like airlines. They usually hedge their fuel supply pricing wise. So even though there's a price shock now, they have like their jet fuel prices fixed for a certain amount of time. I don't know the exact timelines, but like a small like the conflict which is now happening will not immediately impact the jet fuel prices or the jet fuel consumption of the airlines. Of course, they're looking on the broader view and trying to plan in the long run, but usually they're hedged. But of course, they take measurements because we don't know what's coming next. Well, we don't know who Mr. Trump and Netanyahu like have next on their list. So it's a really fragile situation at the moment. But I heard the same, like inflation is big, like prices are jumping, like even Canadians, like the dollar is so weak. Like I talked to some people who trying to come to Europe this year. They're diverting their holidays. Yeah, so it's really not as predictable as it used to be in the past.
Well, I know our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has been over the last number of months going back to what you were saying about the polls and how Europeans have no trust in Trump. And I know that on more than one occasion in speeches, including the speech in Davos earlier this year, where he said that the United States is no longer a trusted ally for Canada, but also elsewhere in the world. And it seems like it's really starting to line up that way as far as what you were saying about how Europeans are feeling right now, more that Trump is more of a threat than anything.
Exactly. I mean, look at the last, like when you follow a little bit the spokesman of the NATO, Rutte, he says also like he's still supporting Trump, but also giving like there's a mixed. It's a necessary partner. Without the US, we have to admit the NATO would not be here where we are. Like we cannot coexist without the US. Period. It's the truth. We're getting more independent. But military spending was targeted to ramp up till 2030 to 2, 3, or 4, even up to 5% of GDP. But even that is now getting again reduced by some countries because they have other spending caused by the Iran war, where we need to like first take care of our domestic consumption in order to reduce prices yeah, like it's a dead road at the moment. Like on the one hand side, we have to spend more on defense. On the other hand side, energy prices are going up, so money is lacking everywhere, and we're somehow in the middle. But yes, we cannot coexist without the U.S., which Rutte said already last week in the NATO. But we need to get more independent from Trump, and the trust is fully gone. Full gone. Like only 16% of the European population sees 16 sees the US still as an ally, which is ridiculous. Yeah.
There's a new poll out here in Canada that is suggesting that the majority of Canadians surveyed would support joining the European Union. Now, I know that's easier said than done, but what's the feeling on your side of the ocean?
Yes, we had, I think, this discussion already last year, September, October, I don't remember, but the European Union said more than welcome. It's more like a thing, like a general thing where in the chapter or the governance of the European Union, there was somehow like it was also a geographical thing, but I think those things could be now discussed because we see a complete new world order, and the Canada is reaching out to Europe and the other way around. You know, there are defense deals between Germany, France, England, UK with Canada, and the other way around. We're collaborating now on critical minerals, on commodities itself. So there's a lot of like joint efforts to strengthen the work we're doing together between Europe and Canada. How this would look in practical as a practical approach, we don't know yet. But like discussions are here, and we're really welcoming this thought.